Good morning, everyone. This is the fifth Utah Tech football Lance Anderson Tuesday press conference ahead of this Saturday's homecoming game against number 22 ranked Abilene Christian. Kickoff inside Greater Zion Stadium is set for 7 p.m. Mountain Time. This will be the third meeting between the Trailblazers and Wildcats on the gridiron, with each of the last two games having been won by ACU. Utah Tech is 4-11 all-time in conference openers, 1-2 in its brief FCS era. And the Trailblazers broke a 5-game conference opening skid last year when Utah Tech claimed a 37-31 home victory over former UAC member Stephen F. Austin at the stadium. A couple of notes from last week. Redshirt freshman quarterback Reggie Grapp became the 17th different player and the 16th different quarterback in Utah Tech's NCAA era to run for and pass for a touchdown in the same game. Did that against UC Davis. Utah Tech's defense records season highs in both TFLs with 8, sacks with 4 last Saturday. And senior punter Andy Day's 66-yard first quarter punt at UC Davis was the second longest of his career and tied for the 9th longest punt in the program's NCAA era. Saturday's game against Abilene Christian we broadcast live on the Fan Sports Network, 99.5 FM, with Devin Dixon calling the play-by-play and Paul Ratliff doing the color analyst duties. The game will also be streamed on ESPN Plus with Rod Zundel, the voice of the Trailblazers, and Max Christensen III, providing play-by-play and color commentary. The pregame show that will be streamed live on Trailblazer Sports Vision starting at 6 o'clock Mountain Time on YouTube. And with that, we'll open up with an opening statement from Coach Anderson, and then we will get going with the questions. Coach.
I'll back up to Saturday night against UC Davis to start. I felt like our guys played hard. They really worked to compete in that game. We saw improvements in a lot of areas, particularly our run defense. I think we did a much better job than what we've done previously this year. But again, overall level of execution is just not consistent enough to be competitive. So that's a focus for us again this week, is just executing at a higher level. As we turn the page to Abilene Christian, our first conference game of the year, again, it will be another challenge for us. I believe Abilene Christian is probably one of the most talented teams in our conference. They played a tough schedule and they fared very well. They put up some big numbers on the offensive side of the ball. They have some talented players on both offense and defense, and it will be a big challenge for us this week, but we're looking forward to getting conference play underway.
Coach, what are some of the things that you liked about the improvements last Saturday?
I felt like we were much more consistent with our run defense, much more consistent with our fits. Our tackling was better, just played with better leverage. Guys did a much better job of just doing their job, doing their 1/11th. And that was encouraging to see. Also, when we had some pass situations, at times we were a little bit better generating pass rush than what we were against Northern Arizona the previous week. We recorded the 4 sacks. So that was definitely encouraging. Again, on the offensive side of the ball, Reggie being able to run the football has been a positive for us, throughout the season. And that's something that we've got to continue to build on. Steve mentioned Andy Day's 66-yard punt that really flipped the field and was big. So we've had some good things on special teams. But again, the bottom line is we just need more everywhere. Offense, defense, special teams. We need more. We just need more consistent execution.
Your offense put your defense into tough positions in that first half, and inside the 20-yard line 5 times, and they had to settle for 4 field goals. What does that say about your guys on the defensive side of the football?
Those guys really played hard. They really competed throughout the night. Again, we talk a lot about, we don't care how we go on the field. All we care about is, what we do when we're on the field. And those guys did a great job of responding. When you got your back up against the wall in those situations, what you're hoping to do is either get a takeaway or at least force a field goal attempt. And that's what we did on several occasions. And so, that game could have easily gotten out of hand, in those situations, but those guys really battled and kept us in the game. So that was encouraging.
Coach, how are you guys on the injury front? And I mean, tough preseason, obviously, with the 4 games, but Can you give us a little insight into how guys are healthy and anybody that's going to be back available this week that's been out?
We're still banged up, and we lost a few additional guys last week against UC Davis. Um, Late in practice last week, Thursday, Brevin Hamlin and Jared Fotu were back in practice, so they were able to play some snaps, and that was encouraging. I hope we can get through a full week of them, getting reps. But Jagger Williams came back for like a series and went down, so he's going to be questionable. We got some receivers that went down, True Tanner, Damani Wilkes, so they're going to be questionable. Our tight end, Annie Falai, is still going to be out. So we've got a mix. We're getting some guys back, but we still are missing several guys too.
Marley Sagapolu, what's the outlook on him? Will he be available soon or at some point this season?
No, that's very doubtful. If he's available at all, it will probably be late in the season. I think he's ahead in his rehab, but I still think it's going to be late in the season, if at all, this year. Which that's another big loss, for us on the D line. He was, a really good football player for us in the spring.
Can you
Coach,
go a
your
little bit more?
Oh, go ahead, Devin.
I was going to say, can you go a little bit more into what you liked and from the quarterback position from Reggie? You mentioned you liked the running. How about the decision making? I know there was the turnovers that he had. Some of them were his fault, some weren't. Can you take me a little bit more inside his performance making his first ever start for you
Yeah,
guys?
I think there were some nerves. There was maybe a little anxiety being his first start. It was a different situation than it was like the week before, where he could sit on the sidelines for a little bit, get a few plays here and there, and then really have his opportunity in the fourth quarter, where this week it was his from the very beginning. And so I think there were some nerves there, and that affected his play. But again, I think he settled down. He got into the groove and did some things, better as the game went on. Again, he's been very consistent running the football for us. And I think he's shown accuracy throwing the football. I had a few decisions on Saturday that were not great, but like you mentioned, a lot of those, whether it's the incompletions, it's the turnovers, not all those were completely on him. Sometimes it was an alignment issue with guys, or it was a route issue, things like that. So we're very pleased with where Reggie is. He's really coming along, and I think his best football is in front of him.
Deacon Hill, your starting QB, missed last game. If he's back, would he be the starter? And then you'd bring in Reggie for some packages. And then also, could that be a blessing in disguise that he missed the game so he could sit back and watch what happens without having to be right in the fire?
It certainly could be. I mean, this was an opportunity where Deacon could just sit back and, relax a little bit, really see what's going on. So Deacon has been cleared now. He has been practicing. So we're really going to see how the week develops. We'll see if Deacon is fully ready to go by the end of the week, or as we get into the middle of the week here, in the thick of practice. So Deacon and Reggie at this point are getting most of the reps, with Luke still getting some, and we'll see where those two are at the end of the week. If everything kind of goes as planned, I think you'll probably see both of them.
Coach, what are you doing? Your third down conversion still a problem. You got a little bit better against Northern Arizona, but if you can take care of that, that could solve a lot of your issues in not sustaining drives. What are you guys doing to try to improve that number?
So starting out, Rod, like you mentioned, on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of that third down, offense is based on first and second down success as well. So we've got to be better in those areas as well, putting us in more manageable third down situations. And then it comes down to executing on, I keep talking executing, but really third down, that's what it's about offensively and defensively, is you've got to execute. And so we've got to get better in those areas. I know our offensive coaching staff is working hard to try to game plan the best we can to put our guys in the best situations possible. And then we've got to be able to go out and execute. But you're exactly right that third downs are critical in the outcome of a game. Offensively, going 1 for 11 is not acceptable. We've got to be a lot better than that to be competitive. Defensively, we were 9 for 18, which we'd still like to be in about that 35% range. So we'd still like to get stops on about 3 more of those, and we'd be in a much better situation. We might not have had a couple of those long drives that we had to be in on defense, where we're talking 15, 20 plays. had we got a couple more third down stops. So that has been an emphasis on both sides of the ball this week, is we have got to execute better on third down.
Coach, you talked about maybe some of your receivers are banged up a little bit. You go down the line, you're going to have to starting a lot of guys that are playing a lot of guys that don't have any catches in their college career, and a lot of young guys too. So how's that all going to play out?
And that's we came into the year with not a lot of guys with a lot of experience, catching the football. So those guys have got to step up, whether it's guys like Josh Rillos, Daniel Thomason. We need guys, Elijah Simley, we need Chernette Estes. We need those guys to step up and be productive for us. We've also got to spread the ball around, get the running backs involved, get the tight ends involved. I think we do still have some capable guys on offense. We've got some weapons. We just got to be able to get the ball to those guys, get those guys open, because we don't have a ton of experience, but what we're getting now is definitely going to be helpful in the future for those guys.
Coach, this was a team that put up 51 points against Texas Tech. They're a high-octane offense. What are you going to do offensively to try, and if this becomes a track meet where they're scoring a lot of points, what are you going to do offensively to try and keep up this week?
So first off, talk about Abilene Christian's offense. They are very impressive. The quarterback has put up some very big numbers. I think they're averaging 330 yards a game throwing the football. So they are very efficient throwing the ball. Yeah, number 20 Nehemiah Martinez is a very good receiver. I think it's 13 Blaine Taylor is a big receiver who's also been very productive. I think the running back Isaiah Johnson is also very productive football player. So starting out defensively, I mean, we've got to do a good job of mixing our coverages, trying to disguise some things. And then we've got to play hard. We've got to tackle. We've got to execute to try to slow them down, because they are very talented. And on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, yes, we need to generate more. We need to move the ball better. We need to finish in the end zone more with the touchdowns. When there are opportunities on special teams to convert a kick, we've got to do that as well with Ilya. So again, it just comes down to executing better in all phases for us, in order for us to have a chance to be competitive against a real quality team like this.
Coach, is there any sort of an emphasis right now to try to get some scoring early? I know that's been an issue over the course of the season so far. What are you guys doing to try to get some points on the board with your first drives?
We've talked a lot, just because again, I think so much of the way you practice carries over to the way you play. And so we've talked a lot about that we have got to start fast in practice. We've got to maintain a high level of execution effort throughout practice, and we have to believe that will carry over into the game. Now, I know there's the game plan perspective and things, and we're trying to do a good job there of finding ways to put our guys in position to do things that they do well, and to put them in a position to execute, against a good football team. And so as a coaching staff, we're working on that. But again, my big message to the team is, hey, we've got to practice well. That will carry over to the game.
Hey, Coach, you've had trouble stopping the run, but against the top running back in the Big Sky Conference, you held him to under 150 yards. Is that something where you can build on that and build some confidence from here on out?
We certainly hope so. Like I said earlier, we were much more consistent in our fits. Our tackling was better. Still areas that we can improve there, but we were much better in those areas. We also eliminated some of the big plays, those big chunk plays in the run game. And so I hope this is something we can build on. And I think it's just getting guys reps, whether it's, Spencer Rich, it's Malachi Fakahua, it's, getting Jared Fotu back. It's having a little more consistency at the safety spot with Brevin Hamlin, Quincy Leger, Micah Gardner, those guys getting rep after rep after rep, where they're seeing things better, they're trusting their fits. And that's what we got to depend on again this week, is just we've got to have guys doing their job and then be able to execute, get off blocks, make tackles, in order for us to perform at a better, higher level.
Coach, how is the locker room? How's morale right now? You seem upbeat. You seem positive. You know, your first year here. I know, you know, a lot of these kids you didn't recruit here, but how are the guys responding after this slow start?
That they are very well, and I've been encouraged by that. I mean, since I took this job, I've been very happy just with the effort of our guys, the attitude of our guys, the work ethic, and it's not all perfect. But overall, it seems like when we do have issues, guys recognize that and they understand we need more, we need better. And you know, honestly, as a coach, that's what you fear, you know, when you start out like this and you're not getting the results that you would hope, that the players had hoped for. But what I can say is the guys still come to work every day. They come to practice every day. They take hard coaching. They can be corrected. They can be, you know, taught things and they will respond. They can be challenged and they will respond. So I'm encouraged of where we're at right now. I mean, I know sometimes it's hard to see because it may not all translate to the field, but the guys are working hard. I am seeing improvement. It's going to require more work. It's going to take, you know, it's going to take time, but I'm encouraged at the way these guys are working.
Does this team remind you of another team you had maybe in past coaching stops like at Stanford where it was a slow start, but you were able to, you know, get some young guys to step in and rectify the season and find some wins?
There are so many things that remind me of that. We just haven't had that one big win yet that we had at Stanford that first year, but I see the same thing, and I see some of the ups and downs, and you know, I've actually, you know, been encouraged because I think sometimes the attitude and work ethic here has been a little bit better and a little more consistent than what I saw there early on. That hey, maybe it took a big win to get those guys on board, and so I'm just, you know, we're hoping for that win that kind of gets us over the hump, that, you know, really shows the guys, hey, we are on the right track. All the work we're putting in, it is worth it. But it's hard, and it's even that first year at Stanford when we upset USC, the #1 team in the country. We still only win like 3 games that year. It was still very difficult, and I think we're in a similar situation. But just like we did there, we've just got to continue to work, and I know we'll get to where we want to be if we do that.
Most coaches I talk to, they're not a big fan of homecoming week. What's your spin on homecoming week and all the extracurricular activities going on campus?
It's already been a little bit different. I look at the schedule, all the different things that we have to do. And, you know, my message to the team on Monday morning was, hey, we've got to embrace this because, hey, we want the support of the student body. We want the support of the university, the community. So it's important for us to be involved in these events, to be able to, you know, show our face and get involved and show how much we do care about this university and the community. But at the same time, we've got to maintain our focus and understand that, I mean, our #1 job is to go out and win a football game on Saturday. And that above everything else, I mean, when it's time to practice, when it's time to meet, we've got to be focused and ready to go. But yes, I think you do have to embrace some of the festivities and things surrounding, because I mean, that's what we want, a festive atmosphere. We want people in the stands. We want people watching and cheering and caring for us. And we understand we've got to do our part as well.
How are you kind of approaching the start of conference play with the guys? I mean, is there any different approach than you've had in the preseason?
You know, we told our guys that this really, it turns the page in our schedule, where we've had a very challenging schedule so far. We've not had the results that we have liked, but we've seen positives in all phases. Now these games really count in terms of conference play. So now our challenge is we've got to be more consistent with that execution. These positive things that we've seen, we need more of them. We need to learn from our negatives so far, and build on that. So it kind of gives us a fresh start. I hope our guys will respond to that and understand that we can take everything we've learned these first 4 weeks and really put it to use as conference play starts.
Okay, more questions for Coach?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the time, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you all on Saturday night.
Thanks, Coach.